Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. And welcome to another episode of Glass Half Full, a podcast and a safe platform where we talk with a variety of teachers, entrepreneurs, spiritualists, uplifters, givers, shakers, and serenaders. Everyone has a lesson to learn and a lesson to share. Let's use our life experiences to enrich someone's heart, mind, spirit, and soul. Through sharing our experiences, we can be a learning inspiration for one another. I'm your host, Chris Levins. If you love the show and want to support us, you can become a monthly subscriber or make a one-time donation. Just look for the heart icon or the support link on our podcast platform. We're so grateful for your continued support. It helps us keep making this show even better. Let's welcome today's guest. Today's guest is Dr. Leah Kaler. Dr. Leah Kaler is a licensed clinical and prescribing psychologist who has served as the FBI sleep expert for over 5 years. With a passion for optimizing human performance, she's on a mission to help others harness the transformative power of rest. Because better sleep shouldn't be top secret. Dr. Leah shares practical, science-backed strategies on her YouTube channel, and her upcoming book, If Sleep Were a Drug, hits shelves on October 1st, 2025. Let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Leah Kaler. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Thank you for having me. What an introduction. I feel like I'm like a celebrity. Thank you.
I love that. My pleasure. Thank you so much for taking some time out to be a guest here on Glass Half Full. We're so happy to have you today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I love the attitude of a glass half full, so let's do this thing.
Yes, I love it. Can you tell everyone where you are in the world and what time it is, please?
Sure. So it's around 10 a.m. I'm on the East Coast, and I'm in Pennsylvania.
Awesome. Thank you for this morning chat, for sure. How's the weather today?
I'm hoping that it's going to get nicer. When I woke up and was looking out the window this morning, it was very, very foggy and rainy, which we are getting into fall, so that's pretty typical. But I think it's going to warm up to about 75 degrees Fahrenheit, so I'm looking forward to a nice afternoon.
All right. And, you know, we do need the rain. It's part of the importance of the ecosystem, so a few of those days are not bad as well, for sure. I love it. All right, we're going to jump right on in. I like to ask all my guests this first question. I believe that our lives are in spiritual design. Can you share your life layout or blueprint with everyone? This is how you grew up, where, your family lifestyle?
Sure. So the town actually where I am right now is where I was born and raised. A little tiny town outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I have one brother, and his name is Tim. And I grew up, I would say, just a relatively normal life. I was into sports. I did dance and horseback riding and gymnastics. And once I found gymnastics, that was it. I did that for 10 years.
Oh,
and in
wow.
college, yes. And then because of that, it took me to the school that I went to, which is in Philadelphia. It's called Ursinus College. That's where I started my undergraduate degree. And then I kind of ping-ponged all around. So I moved to New York City to do my master's at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in forensic mental health counseling.
Wow.
Then I moved to St. Louis, Missouri to do my PhD in clinical psychology at St. Louis University. Then I matched for my residency, and this is where sleep starts to come in, is that I was at the Memphis VA Medical Center for my 1-year residency, and there I was put on one of the many rotations. I got the sleep rotation, and that's kind of where it all started. I was also an FBI intern at that time, waiting for my degree to be completed so I could accept a full-time position, and that's exactly what happened. And I got to the bureau. My supervisor at that time had asked me, okay, Leah, so what's going to be your thing? And I said, well, Gee, I don't know. I was trained as a trauma psychologist, but I just got off a sleep rotation. Why don't we do that? Why isn't sleep my thing? And so that ended up being one of the first presentations that I did at the Bureau. And it's been just kind of growing because before that rotation at the Memphis VA Medical Center in the sleep clinic, I didn't realize how incredibly widespread problems with sleep are, how many people are struggling, how many different ways you can struggle, and just how impactful that is, not just to your sleep, but to all of your daytime functioning. Sleep literally touches everything. And so that is kind of how it all unfolded. And I've been helping people with sleep now for about 7 years. And about almost 1 year ago, I was at a conference in the community in Wisconsin, and I had given a talk on sleep and healthy sleep and how to get better sleep. And a woman had approached me after that lecture and just said, "This was fantastic, but my friend who really needs this information isn't here. She unfortunately couldn't be at this conference, but do you have a handout? Do you have a website? Do you have a book?" And I was just like, "Excuse me?" Like there's other books out there that touch on this, and she basically planted a seed. And I thought, you know what, there's so many demands for me to come lecture about about sleep, or to have people work one-on-one with me about sleep. And so I thought, you know what, actually maybe there is room out there for a book about sleep. And so that's what I've devoted my about last year to, and it's called If Sleep Were a Drug, and you mentioned it here earlier. And so that's going to release here in the next couple of days. So I'm busy working away at marketing and final touches. And so there will be an ebook, a paperback, and an audiobook too that I will be the author or the narrator of.
I love it. You're busy, busy.
I am busy.
Okay,
Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit, and we're going to come through your story a little bit. I want to talk about your childhood and growing up.
Mm-hmm.
How was your family life? Do you play any instruments? Are you a music family? Was there any type of religion that was in your family? Was sleep something that was important in your family when you were young as well, or not at all?
So you made me laugh because you had asked if we're a musical family, and I would say the answer to that is no. I remember us having a piano, and I remember having to take piano lessons and not being thrilled about it at all.
Oh no.
And I remember that I had to go practice by myself, and the piano was downstairs. And I remember not sure why I thought this was a good idea, but again, I'm a child, so I have a child brain. And I would walk on the piano keys, and that was my defiance of I don't want to play this piano. I'm going to walk across the piano keys. So I remember doing that.
Wow. My mouth is dropped over here. Oh my gosh. Okay, it was clear. Okay, no.
Yeah. I'm not playing the piano. I don't want to do
Well,
this.
who played the piano?
I'm not even sure why we had a piano. Honestly, I don't know if I'm not sure why we even had. I'm gonna call my mom and I'm gonna ask her because I don't know why we had a piano.
Now wait, if you find out that one of your parents could play the piano, will be an extra gag on top of it. You'd be like, "You could play?"
I would be shocked because I don't recall any instances of them ever playing, or if they did play, that it was good.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I love it. Did your family grow up with any religion in the house? Or was there...
Yeah, we were raised Catholic, and I remember going to Sunday school, but I also remember that not really being of interest to me either. I remember having to go, but being well, no, but it's Saturday, and everybody else is outside, and then the weather's nice, and there's a swing set. So again, just being a child, wanting to be a child.
Of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
Totally understandable. And growing up through school, how was your sleep as a kid? If you look back at your sleeping style, was it something that was healthy? Was it good now that you're the expert?
Yeah, it's funny that you asked that because I, as a child, loved reading. I was super into reading. I remember having just about every single Mary-Kate and Ashley murder mystery book because they were a little bit older than me. And so I desperately wanted to be the third wheel to their siblingness. So I remember it was time to go to bed, shutting off all the lights, and then wanting to have a flashlight and still continue to read after lights out. So I remember that.
That's cute. That's cute.
Yeah, but I do remember having a bedtime and having like a wind down routine and things like that. But one thing I will say is though, my sleep hasn't always been fabulous. I would say when I was in college and I was a collegiate gymnast, so and I'm also an early bird, so I would wake up early. I would ask for the earliest classes. I would go to the library. I would go to lunch, and then I would come back home, and I would take like several hours long nap in the middle of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then I would get up, go to gymnastics practice, and those practices are normally about 4 hours long.
And they're no
joke.
Go to
dinner.
Yeah.
They're no joke. And then maybe go to the library. And then when it was time to go to bed, like I wasn't sleepy and I couldn't figure out why. Well, hindsight is always 20/20. I look back and I'm like, well, of course, here's the problem. These hour-long naps that you're taking in the middle of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point in time, I didn't have the knowledge that I have now. And so I couldn't figure it out.
Wow. That is something. I know I studied gymnastics for a short while too. And you are whooped when you come back. You just feel like you just want to, lie down, eat something and fall out, from the rigorous practice. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So now in going through, it feels like you had a learning bug. You have so much education behind you. Was it something that your family, was it something that was pushed through your family with education, or was it something that you just found, you know what, I just love learning?
I think it's me. I just love learning. And I didn't even tell you everything because I also went back to school. The FBI paid for me to get a postdoctoral master's degree in clinical psychopharmacology. So
okay, wait a minute.
Also
you can't say that and just say, I was about to be like, please say that slowly. That was a mouthful.
Yes. Yes. So I have a postdoctoral master's degree in clinical psychopharmacology. So this means that I'm a psychologist, but I've also gone back for a 2.5-year extra level of knowledge to be able to write prescriptions for psychotropic medications.
Okay, so you get the prescription pad to be able
Yes,
to
I
write
do. And not a whole lot of psychologists do that, which is very exciting. Yes.
Okay, wow, nice. Okay, so now there adds again. So was this the bug of learning? Was it something that was in your household when growing up, or was it something that you just felt like, you know what, I just want to keep learning?
I think it's me. I just like learning. I also think that psychology is so fascinating, and the brain and when things go wrong in the brain and how to fix that. And so I would say that it was very much me just being a lifelong learner. And I would say even now, if you were to look at my podcast history or my YouTube history, like most of the time it's not necessarily entertainment. It is learning. It is how else can I better myself? What more can I learn? And so that's almost always what I'm trending towards.
I love that. And you know what? My grandmother says that if we don't learn something new every day, then we've wasted 24 hours. And it's great.
That.
It's nice, right? And I tried to make it a point to be like, oh my gosh, I learned something new. Like, as soon as I hear something, I'm like, oh my gosh, I learned something new. Because it makes sense that otherwise we're just kind of repeating the day over and over. And so that's great. I wanted to talk about some of the high stakes professional cases that you've worked with the FBI. What does that mean when they say high stakes?
Yeah, so with regard to that, and I'll just make a disclaimer, is that everything that I say are my own thoughts, feelings, opinions, beliefs, and this podcast is not sponsored by the FBI. And so there's only select things that I can share. However,
okay, thank you.
We are, if you watch the news, and there's no shortage of it, you will see all kinds of very unfortunate, very sad, very tragic things that happen around the clock. And sometimes we're involved in those things. Sometimes we're not. It just kind of depends on if there's a federal element to it. But nonetheless, the things that you see on your TV day in and day out any of those things could be things that we may potentially be involved in. So when we say high stakes, it would just be, some of the worst things that you're seeing. And, something that a lot of people don't realize is that because we're working so diligently around the clock and behind the scenes, is that there are a lot of things that we are able to stop from happening that never happen because our organization and the people who do this work are just so committed to the mission.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely. I wanted to ask about, in your early career as a VA sleep at the VA sleep as at the VA sleep clinic. Excuse me. What
Yes.
did you learn from working with the veterans that might still influence your approach today?
Oh, absolutely. I would say that everything that I learned at the VA is still something that I carry with me today because, again, I did not realize how incredibly impactful sleep was. Like I had come to the VA, I matched, I was excited to be there, but in your residency year, it's basically a time where this is it. This is your final year. Like, take as many opportunities and experiences as you can to be as well rounded and as much experience as you can possibly have. And then you'll go out and work under your own license. And so I can't remember if I actually wanted the sleep clinic. I was having this conversation with an individual who was also there with me just this past week. I called her and I was like, hey, do you remember if I wanted the sleep clinic or not? And she's like, honestly, Leah, I don't remember if you wanted it, but you weren't mad about it. And I'm like, okay. So, and I think again, when I was on residency, it's again, another aspect of learning. It's what else do I not know? And I think that this is something that everyone who I come in contact with and who I talk to about sleep, it's kind of like we do this every night. We have to give in to sleep, but why? And so I think that for a lot of people, it just seems very mundane. It seems like this activity that we just give into every night. So, what's so special about it? And by being at the VA, then I realized, oh, actually, there's a lot of very special things about it. And when it's not going well or it's disrupted, there are so many things that can go wrong. And I remember a supervisor that I had at the FBI, and she would say, oh, the 3 pillars of health: nutrition, exercise, and sleep. And thinking back and reflecting on that maybe she said that about 6 years ago. I'm like, no, that actually was very incorrect. And that sleep is the foundation for everything. And then you can build whatever pillars or whatever else you want on top of it. But sleep is the foundation for everything. And just to answer your question, what I learned there was just the magnitude of problems that people are having with sleep. I think whenever it comes to issues with sleep, everybody can relate to this. But whenever it comes to veterans, I think that it goes hand in hand with the trauma that they experience. So I was also very grateful to have been trained as a trauma psychologist. I think that the magnitude of sleep issues that folks are having at the VA is also kind of on another scale because of nightmares, which maybe normal civilians aren't necessarily experiencing, or maybe like every now and again here and there when they're experiencing high stress. Just sleep avoidance. I had never seen anything like that before. Wow. Where I will do whatever I can. I will stay awake as long as I can to avoid sleep. I cannot go to sleep because feels dangerous for me. This feels scary for me. This feels vulnerable for me. And I had never come across anything like that. Wow. So while I was there, kind of just in a nutshell, I learned how to treat insomnia and nightmares and help people with obstructive sleep apnea to kind of get used to wearing their CPAP mask. So yeah, it was just a grand scale of a whirlwind tour of getting to understand sleep and why it's so important.
So this helped kind of build those foundation of what it is that you've built upon today, and that you're
100%. If I hadn't had that rotation, I don't know what my career would look like, because it has been I've taken what I've learned there, which was very much my introduction into why sleep is so important, and built upon it and used that knowledge and gained more knowledge and wrote a book about it and like gathered even more research to put into that book. And so I would say I'm still learning, because sleep is so incredibly complex. And I think that we still don't know everything that there is to know about it. But yeah, if I hadn't had that rotation at the Memphis VA Medical Sleep Clinic, I don't think that my career would look the way that it does. And I certainly don't think that there would be a book.
I love that. And you know what? We want to be growing, right? We want to feel that we are continuing to build and seeing ourselves to continue the stride. And so this is what we want. So I love that for you. Yes. I want to get into some of the sleep issues or traumas, we might say. You spoke about insomnia. can you tell everyone what is most people's definition of insomnia? And what people think insomnia is, and maybe it might be something that it really isn't. Can you talk a little bit about that for us?
Yeah, so insomnia is an umbrella term, and a lot of people don't realize that. Insomnia may look like having a hard time falling asleep,
Mm-hmm.
having a hard time staying asleep, waking up earlier than you would have liked to, or just waking up and not feeling refreshed. So, insomnia can look like several different things, but it can also be complicated by other factors. So, I'm going to use old terminology because I think it's just easier. And this terminology is primary insomnia and then secondary insomnia. So, primary insomnia means that there is something wrong with sleep. It's not caused by issues with medical conditions, mental health conditions, medication side effects. Like there is something wrong with sleep. Oftentimes, this happens maybe because we have had poor sleep, and then maybe we kind of just like wind ourselves up about, oh no, here comes another sleepless night, or oh, I have things I have to do tomorrow and I have to wake up feeling refreshed, but I know I'm a crappy sleeper. So that is what primary insomnia is. And then secondary insomnia.
So let me stop you for a moment. So the primary, so you're saying that it's the sleep, it's not the person?
Well, let me say secondary, and that might clarify.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So secondary is whenever the insomnia is caused by something else. So maybe you have chronic back pain.
Okay.
And so it's just hard to get comfortable with a sleeping position. Or maybe you have a condition where you have to get up in the middle of the night many times to use the bathroom. Mm-hmm. And that can really disrupt sleep. So there are, with secondary insomnia, the insomnia is caused by something else. So there's something happening and then poor sleep is a consequence of it. Does that make sense?
Okay. So ideally in the first primary, is there a difference about how you fix them? Is the fix the same, or is it different because the primary might be a little bit lighter than the secondary?
Good question. They're definitely treated differently.
Oh, okay.
So with the primary insomnia, I would normally do an intervention called cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBT-I. And with this, it encompasses a lot of different things. So with CBT-I, and not that a person with secondary couldn't benefit from it, they would, and I would still use a lot of those techniques. But for primary insomnia, yes, we're going to teach the person about what healthy sleep looks like. What are the cycles or the stages of sleep that you're going to go through? What is circadian rhythm and why is that important? We'll talk about environmental modifications, so making your bedroom dark, cool, and quiet. We would talk about behavioral modifications. So when are you exercising? When are you taking caffeine? Are you having alcohol? Lots of different things that we don't realize that we kind of get in our own way about. So just teaching the person things like that, teaching the person relaxation techniques and how to have a wind down routine, because that's very important. We also challenge negative beliefs about sleep. So kind of how I had mentioned earlier, like, oh, great, here comes another sleepless night. We would kind of challenge things like that. Or
to try to be a little more positive, you mean?
Try and be a little bit more positive, or kind of to help the person realize, like, when you have thoughts like that and when you do that night after night after night, you're kind of part of the problem. You are perpetuating this poor sleep when you have thoughts like that. So how else can we change these thoughts? What other thoughts can we replace them with that are more adaptive? So yes, we're working with the person's thoughts. So that is, in a nutshell, CBT-I. With the secondary insomnia that I had mentioned, the example of chronic back pain or this person getting up throughout the night because they have to use the bathroom, perhaps there might be things that we can do, maybe like pain relievers, maybe massage, things like that, where we might be able to help them figure out a way to get better sleep. But it really is because it's caused by the back pain, for that example. So maybe they go to physical therapy and they get massage and they use icy hot. Yeah, we need to treat what's underlying and what's causing the sleep issue. So that is how we would treat primary and secondary. But I got to throw a wrench into things because there's also paradoxical insomnia.
Who?
And yeah, paradoxical insomnia. And this one is kind of strange and interesting, but there's a subsection of the population that do have paradoxical insomnia. Okay. And so people think that they are awake throughout the night But in actuality, they are sleeping significantly better than they believe that they are. And so the way that we would figure out if someone has paradoxical insomnia is we would give them maybe a wearable, or we might even put them through a sleep study. And with paradoxical insomnia, the person believes that their sleep is much worse than it actually is. And so to kind of break through that, we'd still do a lot of the techniques from CBT-I that I had mentioned, but then we might also show them the data from the wearable or from the sleep study to show, no, you weren't laying awake in bed all night long staring at the ceiling. In fact, you were in sleep. And we would also do some education around light sleep, and that light sleep is still important, and it is something that you spend almost 50% of your night in. So I think that with sleep, and this is just a flaw that we have and that we need to work towards, and a gap that I'm hoping to fill, is that we just don't have a lot of education about sleep and why it's so important and kind of what's happening. And so that's a lot of what the treatment is for sleep and sleep disorders, is just giving a lot of education.
I think it's important. I mean, some people say that, they're just too busy to sleep. Like they just have too much things. And what's the first small change that you could recommend that they could try?
So I'm gonna expand on that.
Yes, please.
And talk about why that's a problem. So oftentimes I just love giving lectures about sleep. And so I will tell people about how much sleep adults should get. So I imagine that most of our listeners here are adults, ages 26 to about 64. You should be getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night.
7 to 9.
You are getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Now, that will vary. Some people are fine with 7. I love 9 if you'll give me the opportunity. Everyone is a little bit different. The way to figure out where you fall in that category, and people are often surprised by this recommendation, the best way I recommend is to go on a vacation, and to have it not be a vacation where it's wild and crazy and jam-packed with all kinds of activities, but one that is very relaxed and that you can allow your body to fall asleep when it wants to, allow your body to wake up when it wants to, and doing that for several days. And that will give you a good indicator of how much sleep your body needs each night in that 7 to 9 hour time frame.
Okay.
So that's really important, because I think a lot of people just don't know.
No, this is true. They always say 8 hours. You can find that. I feel like growing up, everybody like 8 hours, 8 hours of sleep, it's good enough.
Yes.
So the 7 to 9, at least they haven't been lying to us all these years. So
8 is the average there, but 7 to 9 is what's recommended by most foundations that give us the research that we know about sleep.
Now, what about for kids?
So for kids, it's very different. For children, our sleep needs change throughout the lifespan. So if you think about it, an infant is going to be sleeping almost around the clock. Like a newborn, they're going to be spending more of their life sleeping than they will awake. And so then if you think as they get a little bit older and we get into toddlerhood and we get into childhood, like elementary school, our sleep needs change. We still need a lot of sleep. And that's also why kids, especially in like preschool and kindergarten, are still having their naps, because the brain is growing, the body is growing, the brain is just soaking up information at a rapid pace. And so it needs a lot more sleep. And then as we get into, the teenage years, we still need a lot of sleep, but then things kind of get in the way of homework, after school activities, social media, wanting to stay up late and to socialize with friends, and then early school start time. So our sleep needs change throughout the lifetime, but I figured that most of your audience is adults. So that's why I said 7 to 9.
Well, they have, this is it, because they have kids though. This is the extra, right?
Yeah.
So the kids, then they know how to put the kids to bed. A lot of the parents today, I have nieces and stuff. So a lot of the parents sometimes just let the kids, they don't have bedtimes. I teach children and they're like, oh, yeah, we were up late watching it. It's like after 11 o'clock. I'm like, what? But you're at school at 7:30 in the morning. So
yes, and that's definitely a problem. Kids should not be left to their own devices to figure out how much sleep is right for them. They do need a wind down routine, whether that's a bath and pajamas and story time and singing, like we need that. And I don't know where this came about that adults don't need that, but we certainly do. But let me answer your question. So
Yes.
when we're talking about newborns, 0 to 3 months, they should be sleeping anywhere from 14 to 17 hours a day. That's a lot. Again, they're
Wow.
going to be sleeping most of the day. Their bodies and their brains are just rapidly developing, and they need that immense amount of sleep. And then as we move to infants, which that age category is going to be 4 months to a year, they need anywhere from 12 to 16 hours.
12
So
16.
here,
Wow.
yes, yeah, they need a ton of sleep. So their sleep is going to be consolidated into longer spans.
Is that including a nap time as well?
It can. Yes, it definitely can. So
Okay.
that's going to be nighttime sleep and napping.
Wow.
For infants, yes. So that's the 12 to 16 is the total amount of sleep within like a 24-hour period.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when we get into a toddler, so that's 1 to 2 years, that's going to be 11 to 14 hours of sleep within a 24-hour period. Again, they're just soaking in all the information. They're starting to acquire language. They're starting to just get more defined motor skills. So again, sleep is busy behind the scenes making all that happen.
Cute.
Then we get to preschool. That's going to be ages 3 to 5. And their sleep, here's where we start to see it lessen. That's 10 to 13 hours a day. Then if we move to school age kids, these kids are ages 6 to 12. And the amount of sleep that these kids need is anywhere between 9 to 12 hours. And here, where we're going to start to see issues is if these kids maybe don't have a bedtime, if parents are kind of willy-nilly and letting their kids go to bed whenever they want, this might be where we start to see issues. So if the kids aren't getting the sleep that they need because they want to stay up and watch YouTube all night or whatever the case may be, then we might start to see issues with attention, issues with behavior, issues with health or academic performance. And people might think, oh, well, this kid has ADHD or this kid's just a bad kid. No, it really could be sleep.
Wow.
If we don't have sleep under control. Yeah. So
wow, that's
again,
huge. That's huge.
It's very huge. Yes. And maybe, there's so much for us to talk about, but when it comes to childhood obesity, it might very well be highly, highly connected to sleep and not getting enough sleep.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. You know what? There's been examples of, I know people getting up in the night to eat, like younger people getting up and eating or taking things and going back to their room and eating in the night. And even for myself as a child, I used to walk and eat peanut butter. That's what they said. Like I would eat the peanut butter out of the jar and then fall out.
So a piece of that, so it could be what you're describing, but whenever we're not getting enough sleep that we need, and remember now, if we're talking about the school age, that's 9 to 12 hours of sleep. If we're not getting that, it can throw off our hunger hormones. So I'm going to really try and simplify it. There are 2 hormones that are very, very closely connected to sleep and hunger. So we have one called ghrelin. And ghrelin, you can think of as the one that says, I'm hungry, feed me. And we have leptin. And you can think of leptin as the opposite side of the coin. So leptin is, I'm full, no thank you, I don't want any more. Even just one night of poor sleep, these hormones get out of whack.
Okay.
So ghrelin goes up, feed me, I'm hungry, I want more. Leptin goes down, and we're not nearly as satisfied as we should be. So those are out of whack. But then when we sleep poorly, and this research is more so for adults, but I'm going to put it out there anyways, just so people can have a better understanding, is that when we are sleeping poorly, our intake of calories is going to be anywhere from 200 to 500 calories greater that following day after a poor night's rest compared to someone who is well rested. Now, that's just one night. If you're getting poor sleep night after night after night, that adds up.
So you're saying that you could eat your calorie difference the next day is going to be more because you didn't sleep well the night before.
Exactly, because those hormones are thrown off. Also, because the hormones are thrown off and our body is looking for the energy that it didn't get replenished at night, it's going to look for quick hits of energy. So a donut or a coffee or a sugary drink. Yes, things that are going to be probably not in alignment with nutritional good food.
Right.
It's looking for things that are sugary and starchy and highly processed to get that quick hit of energy that it needs. So we've got that going. And then also, whenever you've slept poorly, I think everyone can relate to this, is the next day we're just feeling kind of slow, unmotivated, would rather hang out on the couch than going and playing outside or going to the gym. And so it's all these factors that come into play that can influence our metabolism and our weight and our just how things are going within the body. So people don't realize that it's so incredibly tied to that. And we're having a very big problem with childhood obesity. And so it may very well need be that we need to zoom out even further and see, is it sleep that might be contributing to this problem? Because I imagine that it very much could be.
Wow, Leah, you might be onto something with that. That's good.
I don't know.
That's good.
I don't know.
That's good. Wow.
There's so many things.
I know,
Yes.
right? I want to ask you.
Yeah.
I love it. Because it's an important thing, sleep, and we all do it.
Yes.
No matter where you are
Everyone
in the world.
sleeps.
Look, no matter what your color, your race, your creed, your sex, we all close these eyes and go in. So
Yep.
I want to ask, is there something that we can walk away with right at this moment to tap into? Some sleep advantage that people can say, I can start this right now after listening to this podcast to try to help me sleep better, even if they might not know if they're having issues with their sleep. Let's hear a word from one of our sponsors, Body and Voice Studios. Want to improve your singing, strengthen your vocal projection, or refine your diction? Now, you can take voice lessons from anywhere in the world with Body and Voice Studios. Their expert vocal coaches offer personalized online lessons so you can learn to sing from the comfort of your home, no matter where you are. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced singer, they'll give you the tools and understanding you need to use your voice with confidence. Mention Glass Half Full Podcast and receive 10% off your first trial lesson online. Visit www.bodyandvoicestudios.com to get started today. Again, visit www.voicestudios.com.
Yeah, so I would say some very quick, easy things that we can do. One of them, and I alluded to this earlier, is having some type of wind down routine. In this day and age, we're so busy, we're so go, go, go. There's so many things vying for our attention and our priorities. And instead, we're just busy all day long. And then we try and fall face first into our bed and try and make sleep happen that way. And it just doesn't work like that. And so people need to have some type of wind down routine. Like I mentioned, for kids, we do the bath time, we pick out the pajamas, we get a favorite stuffed animal, we read, we sing. And that is what we need to also be doing as adults. Now, it doesn't need to look that way. Maybe it still looks like reading or dimming the lights and playing some soothing music while we pack our lunch for the next day. Just slowing down, winding down. You can still do the things that you need to do, like picking out your clothes for the next day, packing your lunch, but doing it in a mindful and relaxed way. One of the problems that has been created with the invention of electricity is that we have light anytime we want it. That didn't always used to be the case. You know, our caveman ancestors knew it was time to be awake because the sun went up, but then they knew it was time to go to bed because the sun went down.
Mm-hmm.
And we are still wired that same way. We still have our circadian rhythm. However, because of the ability to have light anytime that we want it, we have kind of fallen away from that circadian rhythm that has governed us. And not that it's not useful anymore. We absolutely still need it, but that's where we can kind of get into our own way of having our lights on 24/7. And so with this wind down routine, what we also need to be doing is dimming the lights in our environment. For me, I try not to use a whole lot of overhead or artificial lighting. I am lucky enough to have several windows around my home that I will just leave the blinds up completely and just try and go off of a lot of natural lighting, because that's what's important for our circadian rhythm. So one of the best possible things that you can do to strengthen the circadian rhythm is
Can you
within an
explain what
hour
the
of waking
circadian
up.
rhythm is before you go
Yes.
into it? Thank you.
Yes. So the circadian rhythm is that internal body clock. It's that 24-hour body clock that is, we know to be awake when the sun is up, and we know to go to sleep when the sun is down. That's in
And we
our
all
most,
have this rhythm, correct?
everybody has this. There are a select few people who have been always visually impaired for their whole entire life.
Oh, okay.
That is a disorder where things kind of get out of whack because they don't have the ability to see, to then take in the light from their retinas.
Got it.
But that will be a very, very, very small portion of the world. So otherwise, yes, everybody has a circadian rhythm, and it is approximately 24 hours, and it is very highly connected to light and dark exposure. So that's what that is.
Okay.
One of the
Thank you.
strongest ways to strengthen the circadian rhythm is within an hour of waking up, get outside, don't wear sunglasses, and look towards the sun.
Oh, wow.
And yes, simple, free, easy, only takes a few minutes.
Now, they've
looking
always
towards
told
the
us
sun.
don't look at the sun.
I know. Looking towards the sun. Don't burn your retinas. Also,
Okay.
when you've just woken up, maybe you're waking up at 7, maybe you're waking up at 8, the sun and looking towards it is not nearly as strong as if you were to try to do that midday.
Okay.
I agree with that. But looking towards the sun, and what's happening, to get super sciencey on you, is it's coming into the eyes, so into the retinas, traveling back to the brain, back to our suprachiasmatic nucleus. So that is our internal timekeeper. And then it's talking to the pineal gland. And why this is so important is if you do this in the morning, whenever you wake up, that these effects will last throughout the day.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it will last throughout the day. Yes. So when the sun should be setting, when you should start to be feeling sleepy, that pineal gland that I just mentioned, that's what releases melatonin to signal to the brain, it's time to start feeling sleepy. So we can strengthen the circadian rhythm in that way, but also, as I mentioned, dimming the lights in our environment, or just allowing kind of natural light to come into your home if you're lucky enough to have a lot of windows, and just watching the sunset. I think that can be really useful for just reminding the brain of the light and the dark and our circadian rhythm. So that's going to be really important, because if we have all of our overheads on and we kind of have our house lit up like a stadium, that it is going to be that much harder for the brain to wind down, because these artificial lights are kind of tricking the brain into thinking, well, it's still daylight out.
Yeah, this is it. Yes.
Yeah,
We
well,
should
it's
be
still
up.
daylight
We should
out.
be doing things. Yeah.
Right. And that's, we're treading into the territory of blue light. And, I think that everyone has heard, oh, blue light's bad. Well, that's a part of the story, and we'll talk about that more. But blue light is what's being emitted from our screens. So our TVs, our iPads, our laptops, our phones. And it also depends on how close that device is being held to your face. So if you've got your phone right in front of your face, watching funny TikToks, that blue light is very close to your eyes. Blue light is the same wavelength as sunlight. So that's how we're tricking our brain. Yes. Yes. Blue light is the same wavelength as sunlight.
Okay.
Yes. So as we're getting closer and closer to bedtime, you've probably heard, oh, shut off your devices.
Yes.
Well, that's why. Also, it's not just the blue light, it is how engaged we are with that screen. So if we're watching the season finale and we're just so hooked, or we're playing games and it's so hard to walk away, or we're in social media and we just have to keep scrolling. So it's an element of the blue light, but it's also an element of dopamine. Okay. Dopamine is a naturally occurring chemical that your body and your brain release when it's something that we like doing, when it's something that is exciting and motivating, and I have to keep scrolling. I need to see the next funny video. Or you're playing a game and you're just so deep in this game that you can't step away, and like time starts to pass and like very quickly, and you're oh my gosh, how did it get to be 1 a.m.? Or you're watching a show and it leaves you with a cliffhanger and you're like,
And you're
I
like,
have
I
to
need to
watch the
watch.
next one.
Yes, I have been there.
I cannot walk away.
Okay, it's true though.
We
You're
all
like, I
have
can't
been.
close these eyes without knowing.
We all have been, and that is dopamine.
Okay.
And dopamine wants to keep you doing whatever that activity is because it's pleasurable, it's exciting, it's motivating. That is dopamine. And so sleep has a hard time competing because, yes, there's a million benefits of sleep, but when dopamine is hitting, sleep doesn't have a whole lot to compete with right then and there. It's like, okay, well, just close your eyes now. And the dopamine is hard. I mean, the CEO of Netflix has said that our number one competitor is sleep.
Oh, wow. I didn't hear that.
Yes. So sleep it has so many benefits, but it has a very hard time competing with dopamine. So that's why we say, try and, if you're having this wind down routine, try and do things that don't rely on a screen. So maybe you're stretching, maybe listening to an audiobook or reading a physical book, or just doing things that are calming and boring, things that you need to get done anyways, folding some laundry.
Yes.
Because when we cut that off early and we kind of have, this like technology cutoff time, then it's a lot easier. And I even recommend for people to set an alarm. So say, for example, that you want to get into bed at 10. Okay, maybe you set an alarm, a wind down alarm or a technology cutoff alarm at 9. And that is your time of like, okay, we're done here. We're putting this away. And now we're going to move into other relaxing self-care activities that aren't going to be so dopamine fueled.
Alarms are good because a lot of people are not present in life in general, so they're not aware of time. And just some people who are present are still not aware of time. But an alarm will set you right up. And, if people have an Alexa, that's what I really use her for, is setting alarms and timers.
I do too.
It's so great. It's perfect. Because you're like, oh, wow, it's only been 5 minutes? You're like, wow, okay. Yeah.
Where did the time go? And so when we are able to keep ourselves on track in ways like that, then we're just setting ourselves up for more relaxation, less dopamine, a better night's sleep. Yes. So give that a try. That's, again, simple, easy, free.
No, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for putting that out. Because, people want to know, like, what can we do now to do it? So I love that. I wanted to ask a little bit about sleepwalking.
Okay.
Is there any correlation to it? Is it something that you have studied in as well? Why do people do it? I used to sleepwalk as well when I was a child. So it's something interesting I'm wondered about.
Yeah, sleepwalking is interesting. So it happens much more frequently in children than it does in adults. It still does happen in adults, but more so we kind of grow out of it, if you will.
Okay.
So for kids, and let me say this, sleepwalking is not in and of itself dangerous. However, people may walk into situations that may be dangerous. So, for example, walking outside, walking into traffic. So what we want to do is protect the sleeper by protecting the environment. So making sure that our windows are locked, our doors are locked, hiding keys, hiding sharp things so the sleepwalker can't get access to those. Also having like motion censored lights or motion censored lights outside if the person has a tendency to want to go walk outside. With adults, the reason why this happens, or the reason why we think that it happens, is changes, kind of having like erratic sleep schedule. And what that would mean would be I fall asleep whenever I want to. Maybe it's 3 a.m. one night, maybe it's 9 p.m. the next night, maybe it's 1 p.m. the following night, maybe it's 10 p.m. So it's all over the place. So erratic sleep schedules of there's no rhyme or reason, there's no routine, there's no predictability, and the body like doesn't know what to do with it. Okay. So erratic sleep schedules. Alcohol can play a factor in sleepwalking. Oh, wow. Alcohol is horrible for sleep. We could do a whole episode on that. But alcohol is terrible for sleep. So it can kind of destabilize things. Okay. Yes. Stress. Whenever stress isn't well managed, that can also be a factor playing into sleepwalking as well. Go ahead.
No. I said, I was like, yeah.
Yes. So one of the things that you've probably heard before is not to wake a sleepwalker. I would say the best possible thing for you to do is if you can kind of gently guide the person back to bed, that's the best thing to do. We don't necessarily want to wake them because maybe, especially for an adult, it may be very startling. They might get defensive, just kind of not, especially when I'm thinking about my population of veterans and law enforcement, they may be startled awake and very scared and want to protect themselves. And maybe that might look like going into defensive action. So if we can, we just very gently try and soothingly guide them back to bed. That's what we want to do. But what's happening in the brain is that something weird is off. We're kind of getting stuck where the motor cortex of the brain is still working. That's how we're able to get out of bed, to walk. Sometimes, like eating peanut butter, like you said, sleepwalking kind of encompasses you may like pick up your phone and act like you're talking on it, or like things like that. So sleepwalking encompasses things like that, but it's the motor cortex is awake and it's up and running. But then the prefrontal cortex, which is the area right behind your forehead, is offline.
Wow.
And so that is, so there's this strange, like the brain kind of gets stuck in between gears, if you will. And so some areas of the brain are online, some areas of the brain are offline, and that's how we can get to that sleepwalking.
And I guess it plays a part, too, about the level of sleep that you've gotten yourself into, right? If it's like a deep sleep or if it's not so deep.
Great question. Sleepwalking does happen during deep sleep.
Oh, yes. Wow.
So that's the stage in which it does happen.
Okay.
And things kind of get out of whack. Also, a contributing factor to this would be sleep deprivation, or just not having the sleep that you need. And this is a big problem in society, is that people are often running on fumes, but think, I have to keep going. I have so many things on my plate. I have to keep going. And because of that sleep deprivation, oftentimes the brain is so hungry for sleep that it's going to kind of like dive really deeply into this deep sleep, and then throw onto it maybe poor stress management, maybe alcohol, maybe erratic sleep schedules. And these all create a perfect storm for sleepwalking. One thing that we have the potential to maybe reset, and this could be done for children as well, but when the sleepwalking is done night after night after night, and it is very predictable, and this suggestion would only be applicable if it's predictable. So this would more so apply to children.
Okay.
But one of the ways that we could potentially disrupt what's happening is, say, for example, this person or this child sleepwalks every night at midnight. And if they have someone like a bed partner or a parent who knows this and who wants to try and stop this from happening, what we might do would be wake up the person around 11:45 or 11:50, so about 10 to 15 minutes before the event is going to happen, and gently wake them up, maybe give them a glass of water, keep them awake for a couple minutes, and then allow them to go back to bed. And this is a technique that we often use for night terrors to disrupt the pattern. It's kind of like resetting a glitchy computer. So we would do this for maybe about 2 weeks, and then allow the person to sleep, and while also working on those factors of sleep deprivation, cutting out alcohol, trying to manage stress better, getting on a sleep-wake routine, all those different types of things, in addition to this, what we call scheduled awakening, may potentially help the person. Again, sleepwalking in and of itself is not dangerous. It's really the conditions that the person may walk into.
That totally makes sense when you say it like that as well. For sure.
Yeah. So there's a lot. And listen, we could talk about sleep all day long.
I know you are in it. You know, look, you right. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about this book. It's coming out next week. It is.
It's October the 1st.
Tell us, why did you write it? What's your mission? What do you hope people get from it?
Yeah. So I think that sleep is something that everybody does. But we don't think about it. We don't think about how or why it's so important. And my mission and my goal is to explain to people how important sleep is, and how, if you take it seriously and you give your brain and body the amount of sleep that you need each night, how incredibly you could be performing. It will blow you away if you allow your body to sleep. And that will be emotionally, that will be cognitively, that will be physically. There are so many things that sleep touches psychologically and physically, that if you allow your body to sleep, you would be blown away by the results that you can get. And so this book is written for first responders, but honestly, anybody can pick it up and read it, because sleep is sleep. Everyone goes through light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep. Lots of people struggle with sleep and nightmares and night terrors and obstructive sleep apnea. So even though the title says, or the front cover says, it's for first responders. Anybody can pick it up and anybody can benefit. But it's really just to educate people about sleep. It is to show people how we get in our own way, whether that's through caffeine or alcohol or the timing of our exercise or naps. And then at the end, it's a troubleshooting guide, as just like what we did right here with sleepwalking. What is it? How does it work? Why is it happening? How can we get some strategies to fix it? And so that's what I tackle at the very end of the book, is various different things that may be going wrong with sleep, like not being able to fall asleep, not being able to stay asleep, nightmares, night terrors,
well,
restless
yeah, that's
leg,
huge, right? Nightmares and night
it.
terrors. We didn't get into that because I feel like that's a whole nother episode.
It's a whole nother episode. Yes.
But your book has it. We could get it from the book. We can, and
it's on pre-order. So I'm going to give you the link and we'll put it in the show notes so everybody can find it. But
yes, indeed.
And I'm just really, I want to teach people about sleep because this is the ultimate performance enhancement that you have no idea that is available to you each and every night if you take it seriously.
I love it. And I wanted to ask about something. You said first responders. Can you explain what is a first responder?
Yeah, when I wrote this book, because I've been with law enforcement now for 6-7 years, that it is, in my mind, these are the people who I've been serving. So I'm thinking about police. I'm thinking about firefighters, EMTs, dispatchers. That's who I'm thinking about. Okay. But again, anybody can pick up this book and anybody can read because it's still applicable to every single person.
Because we all sleep.
We all sleep, and in this book, I'm teaching you what happens when you get poor sleep. So that is applicable to every single person. I'm teaching you how to track your sleep. That's applicable to every person. So yeah, even though the cover says first responder edition, this was written because these folks are near and dear to my heart. And also the military can absolutely there's a lot of parallels, and many people who are first responders, their first career might have been service in the military. So it is written for those folks. And honestly, the person who wrote my foreword, who is Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman, he told me, Leah, I need you to go back and I need you to rewrite this book and take out all the first responder references because this book is a book for everyone. And I said, well, sir, with all due respect, this book is coming out because this is who I've spent my career with. And if the book does do that well, I'm happy to go back in and to write a second edition where it is.
I know that's right.
for more general explanations and examples and things like that. So we'll see. So maybe this is just the first of many. I don't know.
I love it. She said, sir, this book, let it do its own thing
with
first.
All due respect.
Right. I love it. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot. You're like, come on. I agree. Like, let's wait and see what's going to happen. Yeah. Where's the pat on the back, sir? Yeah.
And he is a huge champion of this book, and that was meant to be a compliment.
Oh, okay. All right.
Of Leah, this book is for everyone. And it is. It really is. So I am so excited. I'm lovingly looking at it right now while we talk. And
I'm just hand proud. Over the cover. So yes. Now, is it a long book, Leah? Do you got us for a long? Is it a short little something? What kind of read are we talking about?
My editor told me you have to stop. You have to stop. You have to stop writing. It's 350 pages, but
okay, we got a little read. Okay,
it is. And here's why I wrote it. Is I want you to have this book and to keep it because sleep will change throughout your life. You may go through something at one point in time and you're experiencing nightmares. Dust it off, get it off the shelf and read that chapter.
Okay.
Put it back.
It's a tool. You're giving it to us as a tool.
It's a whole toolkit. And so the first section, all about how sleep touches all the different areas of your life, that's a must read. The middle section, all the ways that we get in our own way, that's a must read. But then the third section is really a troubleshooting guide. So you can read it and you can learn, but if you're not having trouble with sleepwalking, you don't have to read that chapter.
Got it.
So that's how the book is laid out. Is the first and second are must reads. The third section is troubleshooting. So you go to which chapter you might be needing help with. Yeah.
Well, and this is important. This is what I say to my students is that my job is to give you tools to be able to use when I am not there. When things
Right.
happen, you can go in and say, okay, I know this, or I can pull this book from the shelf. I can grab this. Oh, that's right. We've got this page marked about this.
Exactly.
And that way you can use it. It's a lifetime thing that you can have for knowing knowledge. And so I think that's great
100%.
that we can go back, that you've made a reference, especially troubleshooting. Like, that's the main
Yes.
thing. It's like, okay, we've read this, but like, what happens if this? And
Mm-hmm.
so I love that you thought about that, because that's so real. It's so practical, and something
Yes.
that we all could use in our lives at this moment. That's right now. So awesome. That's so good. So good. Congratulations to you. Let me give you a little of this.
Thank you.
Yes, for sure. I always like to ask my guests this final
Mm-hmm.
question. Is your glass half empty or half full?
Oh, I definitely think that it's half full. I think that there's so many good things to come, and there's so many things, if I'm just thinking about my personal life, like so much that I don't know yet, and so much that hasn't unfolded. Like you and I are talking just a few days before the release of the book, and I woke up this morning. It's listed on Amazon for purchase. So it can't
Yay.
even go out yet, but you can purchase it. And just this morning, it hit #1 for new releases. And so
Oh, wow.
that was
Okay,
like
girl.
a glass overfilling for me this morning. I'm like, holy cow, I have no
You're
idea
doing
what's
it
about to
up.
happen next, but the glass is definitely half full. And so and for me, it's all about helping people. And that's why I wrote the book, is because there's not enough of me to go around. I don't have enough hours in the day to sit down
I
one-on-one
love
and help
that.
every person. And so it's really, my glass will be half full if there are people who read this, who get help, who pass it on to a friend, who tell somebody else. That's what I'm hoping to make a change in this world by helping people sleep better. That's
I
what it's all
love it.
about.
Yes, Leah, give it
Yes.
back, giving back. I love it. And we all do
Woohoo!
this. I mean, you touch a category that affects every person, even the
Yeah.
animals. So like,
Yeah.
it's something that we all can learn from. So I love it. I love it for you, and I'm excited, definitely. I wanted to ask you, do you have any final thoughts for our listeners? You gave us so much information, but something that you'd like to just leave us thinking about or sleeping on.
Yeah. I'll give you something to sleep on. I would say you have one brain, you have one body. Take good care of it. You're not, I mean, yeah, you might get some replacement parts here and there, but you are given one. And if you are deciding that you want to skimp out on sleep because you need to see the season finale, these things will catch up with you. And so take good care of yourself, because when you don't have your health, you don't have anything.
It is so true. Amen on that, for sure. Can you tell everyone how they can reach you if they want to find out more about you, also about where they can find your book?
Yes. So my name is Dr. Leah Kaylor, and that's spelled Kaylor. I'm on all the various different social medias trying to give you some quick sleep knowledge. And it's just at Dr. Leah Kaylor. You can find me on LinkedIn. Please find me and friend me. My book is called If Sleep Were a Drug. It's available on Amazon. It will also be an audiobook, and that audiobook I think will be on Audible, but it will also be on my website, which is just drleahkaylor.com.
Excellent. And all of this information will be listed when the podcast airs, so that people can easily find it there to follow you
Perfect.
through. Oh, thank you so much for your time and your information. You are like an encyclopedia, honey. You know it. That information was
Thank you.
flowing through, honey. It's pouring through the pores. I was like, we need to get this. Yeah. You could do a whole
Yes.
series. You should think about that. You should really think about that. You could do a workshop. You could do a whole series of it, different areas in the night. I could see it. I could totally see it. Because
There's
it's
so
something
much.
yes. Get an assistant,
Yes.
honey. Get ready. Get ready.
Thank you.
Yes.
See, that's the good vibes. That's the glass even more than half full with those vibes you're giving me right now.
This is it. Step into it. You're already doing the work.
Yes.
So excited for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
I'm
for
excited for me too.
This is how it's supposed to be, right? This is how it's supposed to
Yes.
be, for sure.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being a guest
Thank
here
you.
on Glass Half Full. We are so happy to have had you today. You gave us such amazing information, and just to make us think about our sleep and how important it really is, and that it affects so many areas of our life. So thank you for leaving those thoughts with us, and we'll see you real soon.
Sleep tight.
Thank you. I love it. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, listeners of Glass Half Full. Thank you for tuning in to another inspiring episode of our podcast. I'm your host, Chris Levins, and I want to express my gratitude to each and every one of you for being a part of our supportive community. Remember, Glass Half Full is not just a podcast. It's a safe platform for everyone to share their life experiences. Your stories and voice matter, and we appreciate you for being here with us. If you enjoyed today's episode and want to stay updated with our future content, please subscribe, follow, and rate our podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, and YouTube. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us reach even more listeners who can benefit from these valuable life experiences. As we wrap up this episode, always keep in mind, you are blessed. No matter the challenges you face, there's a reservoir of strength within you. Until next time, stay positive. And remember, the glass is always half full. See ya!